Alright, so I've got to split this vlog into two parts because it's too long. So, I'll put a link at the end so you can jump straight into the second one, okay? So yesterday, as you know, I went up to my friend James's house for the barbecue, and it didn't really quite go as we expected it to. So first of all, I go and meet Kirsty up at the co-op because she's got to get some more supplies. So I walk up there, say hi and all that crap, go and wait for the bus, catch it, get up there, and then I go to check on the barbecue because I know James is like, and it's on fire, but the charcoal wasn't actually fueled by anything else underneath it. Like, I use paper. So I told him to chuck some paper on there because obviously we need to keep it going for when the guests actually arrive, because I was there about an hour early. So we hunted the house for some paper, eventually found it, chucked it on. Kirsty was a bit crap at rolling it because she didn't really understand what it meant to crumple paper. So we did that, it started burning nicely, and then the rain came. Yeah, a barbecue and rain do not mix. So the fire started dying down a bit, and alright, so I forgot where I was because my mother just tried playing a prank on me, but I caught her out. So he was checking the paper on the fire to keep it going, and I keep looking over there now because I'm not sure what my mother's up to. She's a bit dodgy. So eventually the fire started dying down. So as being the fire master, I grabbed some turps. No, James grabbed the turps because I told him to grab some. He chucked it on. It burst into flames. It was like, yay! But then the rain got heavier and the fire gradually started dampening out. So ultimately we decided to chuck stuff into the cooker instead. So we didn't really have a barbecue. It was more like someone had just chucked some burgers and sausages and stuff into the cooker. So the barbecue was a fail. But James was persistent. I told him to empty the barbecue and restart it. So he did that, and he dumped it onto some bonfire or something behind his house. And then he started that back up. It was going nice, so he chucked some burgers and shit onto it. Then people started arriving. I think Sean came first, and Karis and Sean came first, and so I was back and forth because the girls were in the kitchen. That's not a sexist statement, by the way. So the girls were in the kitchen, the blokes were around the fire. Actually, maybe there is something in that. A little revelation there for you. So yeah, I was flitting back and forth, checking on the fire, checking on what they were talking about. James decided to chuck some lamb burgers, minted lamb burgers, onto the barbecue. And one of them looked as if it had been shot with a shotgun, because it just had like lumps protruding from it. And I was like, I ain't eating that shit. So he ended up eating them. I stuck to the oven cooked stuff, and the first thing I had was a hot dog. So I was holding the hot dog, chucked some tomato sauce on it, as you do, or ketchup for American. And it's one of those squeezy bottles, so you squeezed it. But I was like this, and I misaimed, and it sort of went, and I was wearing white, so my other top, which I was stuck with, was just covered in tomato sauce. So me and Kirsty was cleaning her off with some kitchen towel, as you do. It spread it out a little bit. It did fade it, but it spread, so it just looked as if I'd been shot. I'm getting paranoid now. So it looked as if I'd been shot in the chest and stomach. So anyway, we were washing it away, and I realised that I was flashing myself to every single person I was in the room. So I was like, oh shit, I just realised I'm flashing, as you do. And Kirsty's like, well, you got pictures on Facebook of your body anyway, so it doesn't really matter what we see. Which makes sense, I suppose, but I'm not one of those people to flash in person. And then Kirsty started making some punch, which I watched her doing, and she put quite a bit of alcohol in there. I think it was filled up mostly with tropical fruit punch. with nuts. And then she added a shitload of vodka, which I like. I love vodka. And then she put in some apple sours. And then she put in a little tiny bit of lemonade. I think that was just to ease her conscience slightly. And some oranges. Should flavour it up. Anyway, it tasted lush. It was like drinking pop. The problem with it was there was so much alcohol in there. Like after 10 minutes or something, it was like being smacked in the face by ethanol. So whoever drank that got pretty drunk very fast. And then Scott turned up with more apple sours, which is a short drink if you don't know. And some aftershock, which was cinnamon flavour. It tasted like fireballs. I don't know if you've ever had them, but it tasted like them anyway, so I had some of that. Burnt quite a bit, but it was nice. So anyway, we all ended up going upstairs and they were playing on Tekken and Guitar Hero or something like that, and I didn't particularly like it. I was sat there playing Tekken against James and I was just sat there like, because I was like off my face by then. And I kicked his ass for the first time and I didn't even know what I was doing. But then he beat me, so I just thought, oh, fuck it, so I just sat near the end of the room and just watched them playing it. And then I got a bit bored, so I went back downstairs. I had a cold sausage. And then eventually everybody else decided to come down and they started watching some Michael McIntyre on telly. He was watching that, but people were watching it, but nobody was actually watching, if you get me. We were just talking amongst ourselves whilst that was playing. And yeah, I think by being one of the most drunk there, and I naturally tend to entertain people without even realising it, so I was keeping them amused, and which is quite strange for me because I'm usually the quieter one until I open up a bit more, which I guess that's where alcohol comes in useful anyway, so that happened. And yet it was, even though the barbecue failed, it was a really good night. I wish I'd captured some of it. And we also played a drinking game which they made up with Uno Jenga blocks. So like if you rolled a 1 or a 2 on the dice, you'd have to drink a shot. And if you rolled a 3 or a 4, you'd have to drink 2 shots, or double. And if you rolled a +2, everyone else would have to drink a shot each. And I think I ended up having like 5 consecutive doubles, and it's put me off drinking apple sours quite a lot. Fuck off. I fucking hate nuts.